Okay, so in the networking, I'm going to cover the basics of physical networking, and I'm going to cover the basics of virtual networking as well, so that if I'm able to correlate the physical things that um, you know to the virtualization or virtual computing, you would better understand them. And then ESXi network options, you have like standard switch, distributed switch, and 1000V. From there, it's like the advanced level practicals that we need to do, that is of mastering your virtual standard switch, that is your virtual switch types, port group type, virtual switch security features, and all that. So with this outline, I just wanted to start with this. That is your network adapter. I believe you all know the basics of networking. If not, I would request you to go through the very basics of your networking topics. I believe some of you are CCNA, CCNP as well, but still, I just wanted to take you through the basics of physical networking and from there to the virtual networking. As you see on the screen, a network adapter, which is a NIC card, network interface card, is a starting point for any communication in the uh, in the networking computer world. This falls into the layer one of your OSI model, layer one of your OSI model. So uh, this has got RJ45 port here. You see the hole, that hole is called RJ45 connector. So, and you have got the cables, the network interface cards. These are called the Cat5 or Cat6 cables. So these cables go get connect one side to this hole, and the other side will go get connect to a port on the switch here. As you see here, this is called a switch. A switch can be a layer 2 switch or a layer 3 switch. So for you to understand layer 2, layer 3 or OSI layer TCP IP protocols, you may have to go through certain prerequisites or the basics of your networking topics. If you are interested, I can share some kind of material in that area. But networking is such an important topic. It would need some dedication, at least a complete day or two, that you need to sit on it and have to practice the terminology and words and everything. Well, so this is a network interface card. Even on your laptop or on your personal computer that you would see it, but you only see this part of it, okay, outside. So the rest all go into the case, into your onto your motherboard. So you cannot get to see all this, but you can only see the port in the front, in the front side. And like I said, one port will connect to your RJ for your Cat5 cable. The other side of the Cat5 cable will go connect to the switch. Okay, so this is the basic physical network equipment. Similar to that, you have the similar concepts in virtualization as well. That is your virtual network interface card, your virtual RJ45 port, your virtual Cat5 cables, your virtual layer to switch, and of course you have got a VLAN. VLAN is basically isolating or the segregating the broad or minimizing the broadcast domain on the networking. Okay, so VLAN is a segregation or isolation of the traffic in on a physical switch, so that maybe if you have a 48 port switch in your environment, you can say, hey, first 10 ports belong to HR team, and the second 10 ports belongs to IT team. Okay, and third port 10 ports belongs to maybe a database or development team. The remaining ports belongs to some extreme, let's say, security team. So the ports can be segregated depending upon the team uh, or the physical isolation requirements that you have in your environment. If you don't understand what I'm actually talking about uh, isolation the network or having the VLANs in your environment and all that, well, uh, the requirements are like, if you have different departments in your environment and each department want a separate physical switch for their environment, it is very difficult for you to set up 10 switches, 20 switches, 30 switches, a single switch for every single team. It's not possible. You wanted to set up this isolated switch is because they need secured environment. They certainly do not want to communicate with any other departments. They don't want finance team, don't want HR team or any other team come and see the documents of them or talk to their servers. Okay, it is a security inside your data center. So that's when you probably can go for the VLAN concept that you would be creating in your switch. VLAN is logically isolating the ports, logically grouping and isolating the ports. Okay, let's say these 10 ports are VLAN ID 10. So VLAN ID is a unique number that you will be providing. The number can be anywhere between 1 to 4095. Okay, which means you can have 4095 unique networks on a switch. 4095 unique networks on a switch. That's called the VLAN concept. And from the VLAN, like I said, what switch? So switch, as you see here, it is a layer 2 switch, which will basically help connect multiple servers to a switch, and they can talk to each other. For example, if it is server 1 that I have, this server 1 go and connect here, and I also have server 2. This is server 2. Server 2 will also go and connect here. In order server 1 to talk to server 2, it just cannot talk here, but it has to go to switch and come back the communication. Similarly, if you have server 3, and it has also connectivity to port number 3, and of course all three can communicate to each other if they have the connectivity to physical switch and if they belongs to the same VLAN, virtual LAN. Okay, so this is called, let's say, VLAN ID 10. And in the first three ports also, here you have got three different servers. Each server has the connectivity to a port here. Each server has got a connectivity to a port here. That way, uh, yeah, so that way you can actually say logically these ports are isolated from the ports that are here. Isolated from the ports that are here. If at all this is a VLAN ID 10, let's say this is VLAN ID 20. If these two systems wanted to communicate, they just cannot communicate until or unless you allow, explicitly go there and you say, hey, this communication is allowed, let them talk. Explicitly, unless you go and say the configuration that yes, allow the communication between these two, the communication is not allowed. That's the key of VLAN, and of course that is something that you can do in a switch level. A router is a layer 3 network device. Like I said, I mean, for you to understand at least all these topics, you should actually understand the basics, very basics. So the basics, you probably can read through the basic network books or anything that you have got, that is maybe a network plus study material or CCNA study material, but I would expect you to come to the class with that kind of knowledge, right? So router is a layer 3 network device. Now, why do I need a router? Well, like I said in the example, you have got VLAN ID 20 here, you have got VLAN ID 10 here. If you want the communication between these two VLANs to be enabled, that communication can only enabled at a layer 3 device. So VLAN 20 has to go to router and come back, talk to VLAN 10. They just cannot talk internally, okay, because that is a layer 3 and that has to go to the gateway and come back. Enough. The firewalls. So the firewalls, the load balancer, they doesn't exist in VMware networking. Of course they do exist in NSX, which is altogether a different product, but these two things doesn't exist in ESX server that we're going to talk about. Network adapter is a starting point of your communication, which has got a RJ45 connector, which is a hole where you will be connecting the cable. So cables Cat5, Cat6, those will connect physically to one end, the other end will go and get connected to the switch. VLANs is basically to isolate the number of ports, logically isolate the ports or logically isolate the traffic. That will definitely bridge some kind of security in your switches. Switch, like I said, it is a layer 2 communication device which will help you, switch the packets on the same VLAN. If at all a multi VLAN or communication between two different VLANs need to be enabled, that's when you need a router to be in place. Even the router is required in order to choose the route, which route, or to identify where exactly the destination mission is, if it is IP based communication, not the MAC address. All right, well, this is about your physical networking. If I move further, you see here on the virtual networking, you have similar concepts. You have virtual network interface card, you have virtual RJ45 connector, you have got virtual Cat5 cable, Cat6 cable, and you have got virtual VLAN. Of course, the VLAN itself is a virtual concept, so it is the same in your virtual switches and the physical switches. and you have got the virtual switch as well in your virtualization space. But the router, firewall, load balancer are not available at a ESX server level, but these things are available in a product called NSX. But NSX is not something that we're going to learn in this particular module. It is a different learning altogether that requires certain networking knowledge and experience. Uh, Now that you see all the information here, right? This is your ESX server, the box that you would see here. This ESX server has got a switch here. You see the yellow color thing here, virtual standard switch. So this is a virtual switch, guys. You have to imagine it. Inside the switch, you've got the ports. These are the RJ45 ports, and these ports have the connectivity to the virtual machine. All this is virtual. You have to assume it. Okay, all this is virtual. All this is at software level. You have to assume. So there are different RJ45 connectors, and they've got the respective connection to the virtual machines. Now, if you see, the ports are actually colored. There are first three are in a different color, second two in a different color, one in a different color, the other is in a different color. So this color coding is to differentiate the different VLANs. I said the VLAN is to isolate the physical traffic, logically isolating the physical traffic. That is to build the security, that is to minimize the broadcast domain to less number of IPs and to less number of ports. Now, so this VLAN, maybe the orange is a different VLAN, let's say VLAN 10. The green is a different VLAN, let's say VLAN 20. The gray is VLAN, let's say 15. Black is, let's say, VLAN 25, right? So all these different colors are different VLANs. So on your virtual switch, you can have multiple VLANs configured. It is similar to your physical switch. On physical switch, how many you can have? Between 1 to 4095. So the same VLANs, the same number of VLANs can be available on your virtual switch as well. Your virtual switch can have uh, VLAN IDs ranging from 1 to 4095, meaning as you see the different networks over here, you can build 4095 such networks, such different unique networks. Why do you need such unique networks? Like I said, you have different departments and different security requirements. You don't need the communication to be enabled or whatever the reasons are. But if that is a functional reason, technically to implement, you've got the VLAN concept, which is actually a feature of your physical networking that is of course extended to the virtual machines as well. Got it? Now, uh, if okay, you said okay, the virtual switches, I understand there is similar to a physical switch, there is a virtual switch. Now, if I go to a shop and if I have to buy a physical switch, there are n number of companies or the switch models available. We have switches from Brocade, Intel, Netgear, Cisco, HP, IBM, whatnot. Okay, uh, but if I go to VMware or if I go to virtual switch, what options do I have? Okay, well, you have got three options in VMware, three different switch options. One is the virtual standard switch, which is a layer 2 switch. Of course, for that matter, all switches in VMware are the layer 2 unless the NSX feature. Okay, by default these three switches are layer 2. So what is layer 2? It is again, like I said, it is a OSI layer. OSI is a reference architecture for the entire networking. So the entire world is actually follow the standards that are given in your OSI layer. So there are 7 layers. It is a layered approach. Layer 1 is your physical layer. Layer 2 is your network layer. Okay, so your switches fall into the layer 2 where your MAC address based communication will happen, and the layer 3 is actually is your IP based communication. That's where your router will come into the picture, and from there layer 4, 5, 6, 7 are the top level layers which require software level interaction. Only layer 1, 2, 3 are the physical layers. Getting me? Now, of course, at times layer 4 also falls into physical and it falls into the virtual as well. So virtual standard switch is one type of switch that is available, and of course this is a default option. Virtual distributed switch is a second option from VMware, but as the name says, it is a distributed switch. We will see in the course how exactly it makes the difference from the standard switch. And Cisco 1000V is actually a virtual switch again, but that is from Cisco. But if you wanted to make use of Cisco 1000V switch, you have to buy the licenses from Cisco as well. You just cannot directly make use of it. Okay. Then as you've got three different switches, in all three different switches this terminology is going to be the same. You've got the network interface card. I told you the network interface card is a virtual NIC card, starting point of the communication. Virtual ports are nothing but your RJ45 connectors, the hole where you connect the cable. Port group is nothing but the collection of ports. Okay, so the RJ45 ports, the collection of ports, if you put them together and you group them, this is called a port group. So if you see the diagram in the earlier slide, the ports are color coded. Okay, those color coded ports are called the port group. So in VMware we call the VLAN as port group. In a physical networking area, the port group, you can refer the port group as a VLAN and VLAN as a port group. Similar concept. Virtual switch, well, like I said, virtual switch is a layer 2 switch, but it is a software switch in the ESX server. It will help you do the layer 2 communication or a MAC address based communication happen on your network. Well, uplink port and uplinks and uplink port is another thing that you need to understand. So uplink, what is it? So if you see here, guys, this is your ESX server. This ESX server has got 4 network connections that are connected to the physical switch here. Okay, now in general, if I have my computer over here and if I have my switch over here, and if there is a cable that is connecting my computer and the switch, this is called the regular network cable, right? NIC cable or Cat5 cable, whatever it is. But if the same cable is connecting two different switches, that's called the uplink. That's called the uplink. So if there is a cable that is connecting your computer and the switch, that is called the regular Cat5 cable or the network card, or the regular cable connectivity. But if the same cable is connecting two different switches, that's called the uplink. Now you may ask me a question, Venkat, where is it connecting two different switches? It is connecting your ESX server and the physical switch. But why are you calling it as a uplink? Well, inside the ESX server, you've got a virtual switch in there. So the cable is straight through going from the virtual switch to the physical switch. So though it is a virtual, but it is still a switch. So it is connecting your virtual switch and the physical switch. So it is called as the uplink. Okay, there are 4 uplinks in this situation, in this example, but you can have many uplinks. You can have 8, 16, 32. Okay, and this uplink can be 1 gig or 10 gig as well. That's about the uplink, and where you connect that cable, the network cable, is called the uplink port. Okay, so that's pretty much about the theory that I have for you today. I quickly jump on to the practical side of it, to show you how to create a switch, or how to show you a port group and all that stuff. Well, we are there now. So identify the existing network configuration. That is where to go and see all that configuration information, right? That is, you just have to select the ESX host in the inventory, go to the configuration tab here, and go to the networking. There you can see the network configuration and where to see the number of uplinks, So uplinks. Simply you just do the same, select the ESX server, go to the configuration tab here, and here you see the network adapters. At this point of time, there is only one uplink that is configured to our ESX server. So you can see the uplink configuration here. That is of 1 gig capacity, and this is the MAC address of the and I'm just going back to the networking section. So This is very less, I mean, we don't use this particular tab for very oftenly, right? Just used to see number of uplinks, that's all. Not very oftenly that we go there and we see it. But identify the network, existing network configuration. Let me help you understand what is a switch, what is a port group, what is a uplink, of course components of a switch. Okay, so you see the rectangular thing here, the gray color rectangular thing, that's called a switch. That is called a switch. A gray color rectangle thing. And left hand side to the switch are called everything is virtual. Right hand side to the switch is actually physical. Left hand side is virtual, right hand side is actually physical. Now this VMNIC 0 is actually a physical network adapter which is an uplink. So this uplink is, how is it connected? I have my home router here. So this uplink has come like this and it has got connectivity to this router. So as it connected here to the router, I also have my laptop connected to, this is my laptop, let's say, and my laptop is connected to the same router. That way I am able to connect to this ESX server and actually making use of it. If there is no cable, I cannot ping this particular IP address. If you wanted to see, I can show you that. Ping 192.168.1.51, right? I'm just trying to continuously ping the server. So just to break this connectivity, like I show here, just to break this, I'm going here to the ESX server. I go to settings here. This is the network adapter that we have got. I just say disconnect. So it stopped responding to you because it has lost the connectivity to host. Okay, so we've disconnected it. If it is, assume it, since it is a virtual, you are not able to correlate, maybe assume that you have connected to, assume that you've connected to a physical server here. Okay, using this particular this is a physical server, let's say, and you physically go there and disconnect the cable. That is exactly what we have done. You see, this vSphere client has also lost the connectivity to host and we are not even able to ping it. Now if in order to restore the connectivity, I just go to the same host the same way. I just connect it again. It is like physically going there and connecting it back to the server, the port. It should come back now. You see, automatically it has come back. Now the connection is also restored to the ESX server. I go here. This is how you do it. So now you understand. I mean, this cable has the connectivity. This cable, this network interface card has got the other side has got the connectivity to a router wherein our laptop is connected there. So this rectangular thing is called a switch. The right hand thing is called an uplink, because I told you if there is a cable that is connecting two different switches, I said this is a router or a switch at my home, and this is connecting the physical switch that I've got here and a virtual switch here, and the IP that we are trying to ping is here inside the switch. So between this IP address and this switch, there is only the physical layer, that is this particular uplink adapter. Getting me? So that is how you basically uh, can connect to a server, and this is your switch, this is your uplink. And now you see there is a small globe over there, that's called the port group. Port group. What did I say the port group? If there are many ports, the RJ45 connectors, RJ45 holes are called the ports where you put the cable. If there are many ports and you group them together, that's called the port group. So this port group can have multiple network ports. It can have multiple network ports. At this point of time there are no network ports, but similarly as you start creating the number of virtual machines that will go get connect to the virtual network switch here, I mean the port group here, and that will start communicate through your uplink here, right? So the globe here is a port group, the globe here is a port group. Now these are two different port groups. So at least we have got two port groups, and this green dot, if you see here, it's called the port. It's called the port. Now, as I said, you understand the switch. I mean, you saw the switch, you saw the uplink, you saw the port group, and you saw the port. This is a default thing that is available in every ESX server when you install the ESX server. And what did I say? Every ESX server has got three options. Sorry, three options. One is the virtual standard switch. This is exactly what it is. The other thing is virtual distributed switch. That is not yet configured here. That will probably we do it when we have the vCenter server implemented. And then 1000V, 1000V. Cisco Nexus 1000V. That is again one more virtual server that is also needs a special configuration, and of course that is not part of our learning, and nobody is going to the Cisco 1000V switches nowadays. It is all VMware distributed virtual switches and the standard virtual switches. Okay, so let's learn. You understand how to identify the existing configuration. How can you create a new switch? Well, you just go to add network here in the right hand side. Okay, and there are two type of communications by default, or two type of connections by default. One is the virtual machine connection, the other is VM kernel connection. So virtual machine connection is to enable the virtual machines to communicate to the external world outside of this ESX server. We all know the purpose of the ESX server is to create multiple virtual machines. If you remember the theory that we have discussed, the basics of virtualization, server virtualization, and the diagram I teach you, if you remember, it has got some virtual machines created on top of it. So for us to create some virtual machines over here, and those virtual machines to talk to the internet or to talk to any other machine on the network, we should have some kind of networking available. So this network connection type is a virtual machine connection type. And you have got one more network connection type that's called the VM kernel. So this VM kernel interface is used for ESX management. So what is the management? Just now we saw, right, this 51 is how the 51 is being managed with the help of an uplink there, and it has got an IP address also, if you see. Okay, it has got an IP address also. So this is called the VM kernel interface, which is why you see VMK0. But in the VM network, you don't see the VM kernel interface. Okay, guys, if you don't understand or you're not able to correlate with your existing knowledge, don't make any further attempt, but just try to remember it, because this is how it is and this is the technology. You just have to remember as it is, as I am talking to you. Don't try to form any logics that how is it and why is it, all that. You can certainly do that. For you to do that, you should have the solid networking background. Okay, at least that kind of grip on the basics at least. Okay, so probably if you don't understand it today, when you do the practicals once, twice, thrice, and you will definitely understand what am I talking about and what are you practicing. For now, just understand one thing. For us to talk to this mission and get the work done, now we are able to talk here, I mean we are able to come here and uh, move between different windows over here, see the features, all that. This is what this is, talking to the ESX server, right? We can only do all this when we can talk to it. How are we able to talk to it? When we have a network connection enabled. So how the network connection is enabled? That is enabled with the help of this VM kernel interface. If there is no VM kernel interface, we certainly cannot talk to it. We cannot have this console coming here, and we cannot see all these features. Well, so the purpose of the VM kernel, so the thumb rule is that the base theory, the book theory, there are two type of connections. One is the virtual machine connection type. That is purely to allow the virtual machines to talk to the external world or among them. And the VM kernel interface, which is to basically enable you to talk to the ESX server, and there are some advanced features. There are some advanced features like vMotion, ESXi, NFS, and the host management. So to do all the other advanced level management stuff, you need the VM kernel interface. So what is vMotion, what is ESXi, what is NFS, how those things will help ESX server. It is a different learning. We will definitely go there when the time comes. But for now, our focus is to understand the two type of connections that are available in the network switches. So for now, I'm just taking the virtual machine connection type, just moving forward. At this point of time, if you see, there is only one network adapter, that is VMNIC 0, and that is already connected to switch 0. We certainly cannot have it. So our network switch is going to be without adapters. Without adapters. So say next. What is the name that you wanted to give? Let's say I wanted to call this as HR team, let's say. Okay. Or I wanted to call this as HR network. Whatever makes sense to you, to your environment. I just say finish. So that is how you create a switch. You see here the switch 0, you see here the switch 1. Okay, so one thing that I would request you to remember is here it is the virtual machine port group, if you see here, but to that port group the name given was VM network. Here also it is virtual machine port group, if you see here, but the name given here is the HR network. But underneath here, if you see, it is VM kernel port. Name given here is a management network. Okay, so the type of the categorization can be done looking at here, not here. These are just the labels. You can put any label. This is for our understanding. But whereas the type is the purpose. Okay, well, you will get more clarity as we make progress. Now, as it cannot have any network adapters, we certainly cannot talk to anything that is going to get created here. For example, the virtual machine network connection cannot get an IP address. However, if we can create a VM kernel port, it gets an IP address. Let me go ahead here. This is how you can create a switch. How can you create a port group? Well, you need to find the switch where you wanted to create the port group. If you wanted to create a port group in this switch, you will. I'm going to properties here. You just can say add. You need to choose the type of connection. Let's say VM kernel. So connection 2. What is the name that you wanted to give? I wanted to call it as MANAGEMENT 02, that is connection 2, and use this for the management port. Say next. Like I said, the VM kernel interface needs an IP address. I want it to get the IP address from the DHCP server automatically. So in this situation, my router is the DHCP server here. That is going to distribute the IP address to it. So this is a summary of your selection. I say finish. I'm closing it here. If you see here on this switch 1, the management 02, an additional port group has come, that is type of VM kernel port, and it has got an IP address here. Let me ping it. I'm just terminating the earlier ping command. Ping 192.168.1.159. You see, I am able to ping it 159. Why? How am I able to ping it? Just because it is connected to the physical link here, and I can have multiple management interfaces. For example, 51 I've connected to vSphere client, so I can open up one more vSphere client and I can connect to 159 now. Now also I'll get the same console, no difference at all. But now in this console, you see here we are talking to 159 IP address. Okay, on the other console we are talking to 51 IP address, that is this one. Okay, so if I wanted to change the name of existing port group, it is simple. You need to go to the properties of the switch first and then select the port group. You say edit and you just have to change it. Let's say I wanted to give a short name to it, MGMT-01. You see the management traffic, it is tick mark, meaning this is used for the management of the ESX server, which is exactly what we are doing. And I also wanted to change it, edit MGMT-02, a short name, so that I can easily understand. This is also given in the management, because of which using both the IP addresses we are able to connect to it. You see, changing a label is simple. It is very simple, but you cannot convert a VM kernel port into virtual machine and virtual machine into VM kernel. That is something you cannot do it. Getting me? So you saw how to create a switch, how to create a port group, that is our virtual machine port group and the VM kernel port group. Since we've created a port group here, it has got an IP address and we are able to connect there. Let me create a VM kernel interface on this particular switch without a network adapter. Properties, add VM kernel port group, say next, give any name, let's say mgmt03, and the same I want this to be this also to be a management interface. Well, I say obtain IP automatically, say next, finish, close. Apparently it will not get any IP address because I've got a switch over here, okay, the physical switch, it connected to this switch, and when I create a new port group here, it is definitely able to communicate to the physical switch over here and get the IP address assigned to it from the range. But here this do not have got any connectivity to this switch, right? You see here there is no connection at all. So this is not able to, anything that you put inside the switch cannot talk to anything. That's the reason it is not able to get any IP address. But when we created here, it did got IP address, it got IP address, but here not. Okay, let's say let's manually go there and give an IP address. IP, use the following IP, 192.168.1.152, very next IP, 255 255 255.0. So okay, close. Okay, here you've got, oh sorry, 159 here, 152 here. Let me ping it. 159, right? 152. We cannot reach to it because there is no communication, the physical connectivity between these two. Getting me? There is no connectivity between these two. So this is completely isolated network over there. Now, to have the connectivity, if it is a physical world, what you have to do is you talk to your manager, ask them to order one more network interface card. So when you have to order the network interface card, this is how you do. So you see, um, a quad port network adapter card is costing you some 6,000 rupees in India, but definitely this is not a server quality adapter, but yes, you can order it so that you will get a network adapter that is of a quad port. You see here there are 4 ports on the interface, so you can order it so that you will get 4 uplinks here. If you go to ESX server and you go to the network adapters here, you will get 4 uplinks in a physical world. Since it is a virtual ESX server, I simply go here to settings, I just say add yes network adapter, next. I said I always put everything into host only. Add network interface card, host only, finish. Add network interface card, host only, finish. Now we have got 4 network adapters in total. I'm happy, fine. Now for ESX server to detect this particular change, let's do a restart. I can do a login and I can do that, or else I can go to the power and I say restart the guest operating system. Now I'll wait until the system is coming back. It should actually go down now. It should uh, go down and it should come back. It will take at least 2 to 3 minutes of time, I say. You see here the server is booting. Okay, the server is back. If I go to configuration, network adapters here, you see there are 4 now because we have added them. Similarly, I can go to networking here. I go to properties of this switch because this is where we wanted to work, properties. I go to network adapters here. I say add. I just wanted to add one network adapter. One. Say next, next, finish, close. Now it has got the connectivity. If I wanted to ping the IP address now, I should do it. You see, 192.168.1.52 is the IP address that is configured here. For the purpose of testing, let me just remove it, and you see, are we pinging the right one or not? At this point of time, it is pinging. The moment I say yes, remove, close, there is no port group exists with that particular IP, so I should not get any response. So yes, we are talking to it, and we were getting the response. Got it? Nice. Uh, so now, you saw how to. Where can you find the network configuration? Uh, Identify the network configuration. Identify the network uplinks. Add more uplinks to ESXi server. Add an uplink to vSwitch, VSS, virtual standard switch. And you got to know creating new VSS, virtual standard switch, creating new port group. So port group is of VM port group, VM kernel port group. Okay, so this is it for today, guys. I would request you to practice it and come back to me, uh, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you.